In this chapter, we'll be discussing about CIF and FOB. So, international transportation have a lot of abbreviated trade terms that you need to know. So, these will be regarding the time and place of delivery, payment, so who bears the risk of loss and all this stuff. So, most of the common trade terms are encapsulated in what is known as Incoterms that are published by ICC, that's the International Chamber of Commerce. So, one term you have to know is CIF. CIF is a trade term that stands for cost, insurance and freight. So say for example, usually this is for shipping, okay, international shipping. So say I am transporting or I'm exporting coal, tons of coal through a ship, okay, to some other foreign country. So CIF is like who will be arranging for the carriage of goods, okay. So it requires the seller to arrange for the carriage of goods to a port of destination and provide the buyer with the documents necessary to obtain the goods from the carrier. So CIF is cost, insurance and freight. So all those costs will be added up. Cost, insurance, because in transportation they say for example the ship might meet with some storm or so there's some danger of sinking. So usually goods shipped will be covered by insurance. So that cost obviously added up, and freight charges. Now all this cost means the raw cost of the material, transportation cost, the freight cost and the insurance. So these three put together will be the CIF. So that will be the so when we say CIF, it means the official definition would be like the seller will deliver the goods on board of the vessel. So I am the seller from India, I am exporting coal, so I will be delivering the coal on board of the vessel, the ship. Putting on board the vessel means putting the vessels, the commodity on the ship, okay, or procuring the goods already so delivered. And in this case, the risk of loss or damage passes when the goods are on board of the vessel. So CIF means when I put the goods, the exported goods, in this case coal, on the board of the vessel, on the ship, my duty is over. So the risk is now not with me, okay. The risk is till the point I place the goods on board of the ship. So once I do that, the risk is off me, okay. Now from now on I am not responsible for whatever happens to the goods, okay. So the seller must contract for and pay the costs and freight necessary to bring the goods to the port of destination. So seller is also responsible for ensuring the goods to cover the risk. So I will be responsible as an exporter to pay the insurance cost, and further insurance beyond the required minimum must be agreed between buying and selling parties. That will be separately done by the buyer in case the importer wants it, okay. And also this term only applies to sea or inland water transport. So CIF versus CFR is an important question. CFR is cost and freight, okay. So like CIF, CFR also requires the seller to pay the cost and freight necessary, okay, but the risk responsibility gets transferred from seller to buyer once the goods are on board the ship of shipment. And CFR requires the seller to clear the goods for export. So there are similar agreements, the exception being that under CIF the seller is obligated to insure the goods while in transit for 110% of the value. Then there is another term called FOB. FOB is free on board. Here the seller arranges for transport of goods to a designated port, okay, and once the seller releases the goods to the buyer, that is when the goods are on board the ship, the delivery is considered accomplished. So unlike CIF, the point at which the responsibility shifts from seller to buyer occurs when the shipment reaches the point of origin, okay. So with the CIF agreement, seller assumes responsibility and pays cost till the goods reach the buyer's chosen port of destination. And also unlike CIF, FOB contracts are not limited to sea freight and can also be used for inland or air shipments. So the specific stipulations of a CIF agreement are: under the terms of CIF, the seller's responsibility will include the provision of the goods and commercial invoice. The seller also responsible for delivery of the goods aboard the ship within the stipulated time frame, as well as the risk of lost or damaged goods up to the point of delivery. Seller must give sufficient notice to delivery to the buyer. The buyer is responsible for payment of the price agreed upon the contract, okay. And the buyer is responsible for division of costs related to the goods, including duties, tax and all. So just in this chapter, understand what are Incoterms and what is meant by CIF, what's the difference between CIF and CFR, what is meant by FOB, and what are some specific stipulations of CIF agreement.